Okay, so there is a new Quantum Leap show starting in the United States tomorrow. Um, it's been described as a not a reboot, but a continuation of the original show that ran from 1989 to 1993 for 5 seasons. I loved the original show so much. Scott Bakula and Dean Stockwell as the two main leads in the show were just brilliant, excellently cast, and every episode has been made of it on the whole for me were very watchable, and I've rewatched several of them again over the years multiple times, some more than others. There's certain ones that I do have a big sort of liking for over others. But the whole point of this video, and what I might do is another video after I watch the first episode in regards to what I thought of it and what I would like to see in the new version. But the point of this video is really my thoughts on the final season back in 1993 and what I think ultimately killed the show. So there's various things that I like about the final season. There's various things that I really hate about the final season. And to me, I think a lot of those probably contributed to the show ultimately coming to an end. One immediate thing that when I first saw the first show of season 5 on BBC Two back in 1993 was that they had changed the theme tune. They made it a more sort of faster paced, sort of jazzed up version of the theme that had been in the first 4 seasons, and it just sounds terrible. It's just such an awful theme. And there was a massive sort of fan backlash at the time of why have you changed the theme? It's horrible. It's nowhere near as good as the original. Ultimately, to the point that when the final episode did air of season 5, they actually reverted back to the theme tune of the first 4 seasons, which kind of says all. The first episode as well of season 5 off the bat, it's not one that I'm fond of. Sam leaps into Lee Harvey Oswald, the apparent assassinator of John F. Kennedy, the President of the United States in 1963. They do something in this two-part story that's never been done before, and that the person that Sam's leaped into is starting to affect Sam's personality, which is just, to me, it's ridiculous. What's the point? They never did that in the previous 4 seasons. Why have they all of a sudden, because apparently Lee Harvey Oswald is really, really evil, why have they started to do this now in this episode? And they even, what I hate about season 5 as well is that in an episode I actually ultimately really like of season 5, called Killing Time, I think it's about the 5th episode of the 5th season, the person that Sam's leaped into is totally bonkers, really deadly, dangerous, and actually escapes from the imaging chamber into the future and wreaks havoc in the future. And the thing is, everybody in the future only sees the person as Sam, which makes things even more confusing and weird, but it's such a good episode. But this guy is really, really evil. He's a murderer, and it makes me think, well, that guy doesn't affect Sam in the past, so why does Lee Harvey Oswald affect him in those 2 episodes? It's just like there seems to be a lot of storyline in the 5th season that they kind of contradict quite a lot, and it's not great. I don't really like that because of it. Talking of which, talking about the show actually in a way sort of retreading things, they bring in 2 new characters called, basically they're just anti-versions of Sam and Al, and they're basically evil leapers. And I really didn't like this storyline at all. I don't know why they did it. I mean, it's like, even they're in 3 episodes overall within the 5th season, and you know it's not good when the first of those 3 episodes Sam actually re-leaps into somebody specifically Jimmy from the second season, who Sam helped before, and it's a revisited character, albeit the original episode, Jimmy is another one of my favourites from the second season. Sam moves into a kid, Jimmy, with Down syndrome, and it's a beautiful episode. It is really good. But yeah, with this, it's just like they only do it so that Sam can eventually realise that somebody is messing about with what he's once put right and making it go wrong again. And then ultimately it does reveal this evil Leaper with her own evil hologram, which is ultimately dealt with in a later two-part story, and it's just cringeworthy. I don't like it. It's just not something that I really liked in the show overall. Other things I didn't like was they started to have Sam jump into, aside from Lee Harvey Oswald, real life sort of figures. So you've got episodes where he's jumping into Dr. Ruth, Marilyn Monroe's chauffeur, and even in the penultimate episode, Elvis Presley. It's done nowhere near as good as the recent Baz Luhrmann film, and is in some instances quite difficult to watch, in my opinion. It's not an episode I really like that much. Also, now I don't know if they might revisit this in the new show, but they do this god-awful 3 episodes long drawn-out storyline called Trilogy, that ultimately is only just brought in to introduce, or rather birth, Sam's daughter, Sammy Jo Fuller. If they do return to this in the new show, I don't think they should probably do it unless it gets to like a second or third season. But if they do ultimately return to this in the new show, she will be in her mid-50s. So, because the new show is set in 2022, it's set in present day. So if they do that, she'll be ultimately in her 50s, and it'll be interesting to see if they ever go to that. But it depends on certain factors with the show, and if it does last. I hope it does. I really do. I really hope this is a big hit for NBC, and it does really do quite well. But yeah, Trilogy's not what I like it. I feel it's really drawn out. I think there's even one scene in it where the person Sam leaps into actually does die. But I think he actually manages to leap out at the very second that like a roof falls on him or something like that. But yeah, it's I don't really want to bash season 5 like to death, but the last negative thing I'm going to say about it is that damn ending. The final episode, Mirror Image, the ending just really irritates me. Still irritates me to this day. There's a lot of American shows that I've watched where the final episodes have just irritated me because it's like, why did you end it like that? Why couldn't you have done it differently? It's just stupid. Sliders, I'm looking at you. The ending basically has just the stop caption at the end. Sam Beckett never returned home. Very downbeat, very crap. There's actually an alternative ending filmed. Look it up on YouTube. It's extremely bad quality, but it is definitely legit because you've got Dean Stockwell as Al back in it, and somebody else playing his wife, Beth. But yeah, because ultimately they were going to have Al leaping in the 6th season and go looking for Sam. Never happened because obviously it got a last minute cancellation. Apparently the cancellation of the show was very sort of borderline, that they had filmed this alternate ending because that was going to be tagged on in the event that it did get a last minute renewal. Sadly it didn't. It's a shame because it would have been interesting to see Al leaping around, how that would have revitalised the show, in my opinion, a bit, because I think the show lost a lot of its identity in the 5th season. It seemed to be a show that sadly was running out of ideas. But that being said, I didn't hate all of it. What did I like about the 5th season? So, I preferred it earlier. Killing Time. It's a really good show where the person that Sam's leaped into escapes from the imaging chamber and just creates all manner of hell in the future is just so well done. It's just such a very on the edge sort of episode. It's a dangerous episode, and it's very different to within the format of what they've done so far. And to me, I really like that one a lot. It's very much out of the 5 seasons, one of my favourite episodes of the entire show. Another one I like, and this is apparently an idea that they are going to revisit in the new version, is the episode Leap Between the States, where Sam leaps into the American Civil War and a descendant of his. And it's because they're tinkering with his DNA back in the project in the 2000s. And to me, that's great. I love that episode. It's really an episode that I'm very fond of, and it is one that over the years I have revisited and watched quite a few times. What other ones did I like? Yeah, there is there is things that for me does work about the final season. It's interesting that they try to really do things like Killing Time or Leap Between the States that tries to mess with the already, by this point, heavily established format of the show and try to do new ideas, some of which that do work, some of which sadly don't. I feel that really it was a case that this show by this point sadly had run out of ideas. There wasn't such barnstorming episodes by this point, like Shock Theatre or Delete Home or Delete Back or The Bogeyman, or just things like ones that are shocker episodes that just really stick out. By this point, the show for me sadly was looking like one of those shows where you just knew that this might not get another season because it's not as good as the first 4 seasons. And that change in the bloody theme tune, I hate that version of the theme tune so much in season 5. It's just, why did they do that? Why? Anyway, I've moaned enough. I feel season 5 was an obvious sort of signposting of the show coming to an end, sadly. And I'm really, really wanting the new version of the show to really take off quite well. It's a shame that Scott Bakula's not agreed to even just a cameo in one of the episodes, or could he just be saying that? You never know. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. The trailer looks really, really good. The new cast look really likable, and I'll be intrigued to see when I do get to see it on Tuesday what I think of it. Going by the trailer, I'm looking forward to watching it. I just hope it's not one of those things like a movie that you see that they show all the best bits in the trailer, and then when you do actually see the movie itself lands up being poo. I'm hoping not. I'm hoping it's really going to do quite well, but we shall see. But yeah, that's my thoughts on what I felt ultimately caused the end of the original Quantum Leap